We are multitasking today, friends, okay? Multitasking is the only way I'm ever going to get videos out to you, so I'm really sorry if this is not the best quality or if you don't like it when I'm doing stuff and filming, but unfortunately, this is the time I have. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you can't tell, I am heading out. I'm driving off on my own to do a food shop. We went to a festival this weekend and it was chaotic because we have had lovely weather. If you're in the UK, you will know we've had amazing weather, but the weekend we go to the festival is the weekend it rains 24/7. It was so wet. Our tent flooded. Oh, it was a whole thing, but it was a good experience. I am not a camper by any stretch of the imagination. I hate tents. I wish I loved them. I wish I loved camping, but I don't. As in, I don't like camping in tents. I do, however, love camping in camper vans. So stay tuned if you would like more information on what we are working on behind the scenes when it comes to a camper van. Still might be ages away until we tell you anything, but there is stuff going on there. Anyway, so I'm heading out to do a food shop, and I thought while I was doing that, I would give you a little video. So I have been thinking recently, I'm working my butt off, or I will be if I ever have time to start making more money myself on side hustles and from home. If you don't know, hi, I'm Amelia. I am a homeschooling mum. We are a family of 5, and we are, this is going to be really jiggly, I'm so sorry, but we are on the goal to try and become mortgage free in 3.5 years. Is it doable? Yes. Is it realistic? No. But we're living for the unrealistic goals, and that is the only way that I have motivation. And during these 3.5 years, I'm sure I'm going to go on about 20,000 side quests because that's just who I am. But I am aiming to do some more side hustles to make more money from home to support paying off the mortgage quicker. Anything that I do make from YouTube and online goes towards paying off my mortgage. So thank you for watching this video. You are helping me slowly pay off my mortgage. I have accumulated a list of side hustles that Joel and I have done in our marriage in the last 12 years to make some money. We were a low income household until about 2.5 years ago. We lived off under £30,000 for our family. Often the majority of our marriage, we were both on minimum wage jobs. I worked part-time and my husband worked full-time. So side hustles were the way that we were honestly able to make ends meet, living off £25,000 to £30,000, and that is for everything. We homeschooled, like you don't get the free school meals or anything, and obviously all the clubs we have to pay for, and it was honestly really tight. A couple of years ago, my husband got a new job where he was earning like double the income, and that has been such a blessing, and I'm so proud of him. And since then, he has even got promoted again, and it has made us be able to have so much more flexibility. But one thing that I am always very aware of is that when I was growing up, my mother never worked, but she did want a lot of stuff, and I would always see that she would want these things and expect my dad to get it for her or do work for it, and I never wanted that to happen. So it's my dream to be mortgage free because of my family history. So I want to work my butt off to get there. My husband is working hard enough, and he brings in a really decent wage that I am so grateful for. But my husband is very much on the side of like, he wants to live now, which I totally get. And I am on the side of, I'm a bit of an extremist and I want to just be mortgage free. So side hustles are a way that I'm managing to do that. But anyway, I thought I would share with you the side hustles that we have done in the last 12 years to bring in extra cash to be able to get by on a lower income family. We had our first baby at 21, which means from 21 I worked part-time. And the first thing we did, which was honestly the easiest way to make money kind of without having to do much extra, and it actually was a really good thing for us as a family, was we dog sat. Specifically, we started dog sitting for my grandparents because they were like, we're paying £20 a night to send our dogs to the kennels, and they're just trapped in a little box and it's not very nice. We'd much prefer to pay you guys to do that. And honestly, they know that Joel is such a dog person. He would have the dog work on his feet and sit on his lap in the in the evenings, and the kids loved it, and they knew that they were getting treated so much better. So we started dog sitting for them. We have dog sat for a couple of other people. So we haven't actually gone through the sites, but there are so many sites and places where you can find people that are looking for dog sitters, and it's a really, really easy way to make some money. It meant that we're going out for more walks, and it's a nice balance, because I love dogs, but I learned, we got a dog when we were very young, and I just learned I don't want the commitment of a dog. So it was a really good compromise to have a dog without having a dog, and we got paid for it. So that was a really easy way to bring in extra money without actually having to do anything more other than making sure you feed it, making sure you're taking it out for walks, and he just kind of came along on our life. So when I would go out with the kids to the woods, I'm just going to bring the dog along with me. It's no extra work. So that was a really easy way to earn cash. Really easy, and I really recommend going to look into dog sitting. And you can do just pet sitting in general. I'm petrified of cats, so I wouldn't look after cats, but often people want to pay someone to go check in on their cats, and yeah, it was a really, really good way to earn a bit of cash. And along with that, another thing I have done to earn extra money on a side hustle is babysitting. So friends, whether it's an actual baby or often my homeschool friends who want to work but they can't afford the childcare side of things, they would pay me much less amount to have their kids just come along with me and homeschool with me for the day. And yeah, I've made some money by doing that. I also babysat actual babies and had people overnight, and babysitting has been a way to make a bit of extra money, and also it actually makes my life easier, because then my kids have other people to play with. And I'm very much the person of the more kids you have, the easier it is. You give me 20 kids for the day, I will find that so much easier than just being locked in the house with my children for the day. Tell me in the comments if you can empathize with that, because people think I'm weird for thinking more kids is easier. It of course depends on the children, I guess, but our homeschool community is that, like, the kids are just so sweet and lovely. I would happily have all of them for the day, and it would be such a chill. Another thing we have done as a side hustle, number 3, is we have sold stuff secondhand. So this one's kind of a bittersweet thing, because obviously I had to buy it at some point, so I wasted my money on it, but then I also sold it, and sometimes in some cases did make more. So I have sold so many things secondhand, often things like gifts that people have given to my children they grow out of, or they don't like, or they're the big flashy things that I find amusing for a few minutes. And I never do any of this without my children's permission, but I'll say, hey guys, do you want to sell this? And often what we do is we sell it, and then maybe you won't agree with me here, but we kind of do a 50-50 split. The kids get half the money, we get half the money for the time of selling it. But also just things around the house, like when my husband would get a new PlayStation game, or it would never be new, a new to us PlayStation game, once he's played it and he's bored of it, we're going to sell it back on. So, and there's been times where I am not a reseller. Personally, I don't agree with reselling. If you're buying things from charity shops, I want them to be used for people who are buying them, because it's starting to price people out of charity shops, and I'm just not a huge fan of reselling. But there has been times where I've bought things from a charity shop that I've wanted, and then I've gotten home and realised that it hasn't fit me, I've not liked it, whatever. And then there's been times I've been able to actually, is my phone gonna, yeah, my phone fell. I don't know if it's gonna stay like this or not. Let's see. I'm nearly at my destination, so I can finish the video there. But yeah, then there has been times where I have resold something that I bought from a charity shop that I ended up not liking, and I have made a bit of a profit on that, because the charity shop weren't selling it for what it was worth. But I would never specifically buy something to sell on. There's been times where I've seen people put things out for their rubbish, and they've put things out where they've not wanted it anymore, and I've gone to them and said, hey, can I have that? And then I've cleaned it up and sold it on for a profit as well. And my view is there's been times where I've given away things for free because I've just not wanted to deal with it, and then I've seen that people have sold it on for a profit, and I'm so okay with that. If you want to put in the time and effort to do that, then go for it. I'm really okay with that sort of reselling. It's when you're taking away from people that do actually need it that I'm not a huge fan. But yeah, I'm selling things secondhand. It's a way of cutting your cost and make things worthwhile. If there's something that you want and you know it's only a short period of time, I often will buy things secondhand, and then once I'm done using it, then I'm going to also sell it secondhand. So when we were doing our house renovations, there's been a few things that Joel bought secondhand, and he actually then, once he was done using them, because he knew it was a once off, he then sold it secondhand. But selling secondhand is a way to at least balance out what you're buying. Why isn't this person going? Come on, toot toot. There we go. There we go, buddy. Which I guess comes along with that. Another thing that we have done many times when we've had lots of things to sell, we have done car boots, and often I end up becoming the person in the family where people were just going to donate things. I'd say, hey Amelia, would you like this to sell? Because they knew I was selling things secondhand, and they're like, we don't want any of the profit, we were just going to donate it. And I thought, if you're selling anyway, then you're welcome to sell my stuff, which I always really appreciated that. So often my aunties, my grandparents would be like, hey, we've got this big bundle of things that we were going to donate, would you like to do that? And often I would collect a lot of things, and when I had loads of things to sell, I would then go do a car boot sale. And car boot sales, like, because my family didn't care about getting, like, they were just going to donate it, I feel like then I can sell things for a lot cheaper just to get it gone, but that is also money for me. So car boot sales were a great way. This was more at the beginning of our marriage as well, because you'll see further down I've got another one. Maybe I'll do this one next, but because my other tip was, like, we would do my husband worked in a removal company, and then he would take on as many extra hours as he possibly could on big moves, but then they went hand in hand together, because often people were just going to be skipping stuff. He would take the items that were going to go in the skip and that we knew that we could sell, and we would then sell them at the car boot sale as well. And my brain is, I want to stop as many things going to landfill as possible. So if something was just going to go in the bin, then, and we would always check that people were okay that we took it to sell on. Often people just wanted it gone, so they didn't care what happened to it after the fact. And then we would, when my husband was on these extra moves doing removals, anything that was just going to go in the bin that we thought we could sell, he would then take home and we would add to the car boot, or I would sell secondhand online. So yeah, car boots and selling secondhand were a great way for us to make money, because I would just take the things that my family said they didn't want and I would then sell on, and anything that I didn't sell I would then donate. But this was when we were proper low income, like we were just trying to get by month to month. Another thing that I have done that has brought in an extra money was, and I was able to take my baby along, which was nice, was I did some house cleans for people that I knew. They would pay me less than what they would if they were, like, I feel like it's a win-win, because they would pay me a bit less than what they would if they went to like a company, but then I get money and I can take my kid to it. So I would do some house cleans for them a few hours a week. I would go and just clean their bathroom and their kitchen, and when my baby was a lot smaller, I could like have him in the sling. This was when I had one kid, so I wouldn't have been able to do it with multiple. But yeah, I would just, when they were out at work, I would go in and I would clean their bathrooms and their kitchens and do a vacuum around the house, and I would get a bit of money for that, and that really helped us get by a little bit more, and it was cash in hand. So it's just that, like, it's easier to handle them sort of things, because I wasn't doing enough. It would only be like 2 or 3 hours a week, but that, with all of the other side hustles that I'm doing, it made it worthwhile. And it's all, that's the thing about side hustles, it's all of the little bits and bobs that make such a difference. And if you're doing multiple side hustles, then you bring them all together, then that is honestly a really good way to make more money. You never tend to just do one side hustle. I had a lot of these on the go all at the same time. And then another thing that I did as a side hustle, which this was something that I made quite a bit of more money doing, but I used to do photography, and my husband and I together would do some like videography. So I would often I did birth photography. That was my niche. I loved doing birth photography, but I would do other things as well. And I would make a bit of money doing that. And my husband and I also did some videography. So this was just like on the side. He would have like companies contact him. Like mostly it was people that he knew that they did that, and he would do a much better price. And we would do promotion videos for them. And he's also done like, what are you doing? People are crazy. And he would also do like logo development. My husband's very good at things like marketing and design and stuff, and he doesn't do that in his job. He actually works in HR, but he was always really good at that stuff. So and it's a win-win, because the companies would pay him a fraction of the price they would a other company to make it, but he ended up doing it from home in the evenings after work. He would do some videography. We would do some videography together and photography together, and then he would make promotion videos and logos, and actually that did bring us in quite a bit of extra income, which was really good. When this was mostly when we had our first baby. Once we had our second baby, it got too hard for me to go out and do photography, because especially birth photography, because you have to be ready to go at any point during the day or night. And it was a lot easier to find someone to look after my one child, who was like 2.5, 3, than 2 children, 1 being a baby. So I wasn't able to do that. My tech became dated and it wasn't as good photography. So with photography, you do have to keep up with the kind of technology to get the best photos, and I wasn't able to physically do that. The only reason I had photos for like such good cameras was for gifts and everything, because I absolutely loved photography growing up. Another thing I did, which maybe none of you will see this as a side hustle, but my full-time job from the age of like my kids being having my second kid was I was a full-time mum and homeschooler. So a side hustle that I did was I worked at night at a pub a few nights a week, and sometimes I would even do like 35 to 40 hours. So it was sometimes like a full-time job. But yeah, I would work in the evening. So I would get up at 6 in the morning, have the kids until 6 p.m. when Joel finished work, and then I would work from 6 p.m. through to often like sometimes 2, 3 in the morning, and then would sleep for a few hours and do it all again. That was honestly the most tiring and hardest time of my life. And this was when we had just bought the house that we are in now. My husband was earning about $25,000 a year, and it just was not enough to get by on. And he was kind of only just starting his career out, so he couldn't be on more than that at the time. And I worked in the evenings. Yeah, it was a lot more flexible. And there'll be some times where I'd only maybe do 5 or 6 hours a week, but there are most of the times I would do 15 plus hours often. At certain times, for about a year, I was doing more like 30 hours. And that really killed me. And I think that's what made me, when I had my miscarriage and lost baby number 3, that is what made me go, I am done. I am broken. We are going to get by on my husband's salary, which was coming. I left work at the pub and I started working, and I stopped working. My husband got to about 30,000. So we were like, right, he's had the pay rise to 30,000. We should be able to get by on this. And it was really, really, really tight. But that's when I started YouTube, and I was just like, I can't keep going. I am spent. I am broken. I am emotionally and physically exhausted. So I would do a lot of these side hustles when I left the pub to start bringing in a bit more money. And then I started YouTube, and about 7-8 months after starting YouTube, my husband actually got the job that he's in now and able to double his pay. And honestly, I am so grateful to him and so blessed. But one thing we say a lot of the time is he does 100% feel the only way he was able to take that risk, taking that new job, was because he knew that I was at home full time, taking on that slug of work. When I was at the pub, he knew that physically and mentally he had to be around in the evenings after being at work all day, and he didn't have the energy to like fight for a better job, if that makes sense, and do the brunt work of your CV and implying it. He was just drained as well, because although I was at work and I was drained, he was drained too, because he's dealing with the kids after being at work all day. So he's like, when I decided to work from home, like stay at home full time and stop working, he does feel like, he said, it gave him permission and the drive to chase a career. And I do feel like stay-at-home mums get such bad press a lot of the time, but honestly, I do feel a lot of men specifically feel that when they have a stay-at-home wife, it gives them permission and time and capacity to chase a better career. And honestly, since I have left work, he has nearly tripled his salary. And yeah, I'm going to do a whole other video on going from being a low income household to I would say it's a very good salary that we're on now. We are still one income household, so it's never going to be like if 2 people were on 50,000 a year or 40,000 a year. It's never that balanced because of the tax. Like, we're in a higher tax bracket, so we get taxed a lot. But I want to do a video on explaining what has changed and are we frugal anymore, and how things have changed over time since earning more money. But yeah, and then my only other side hustle for you today is YouTube and all of the things that have come from YouTube. So I earn a bit of money from YouTube, not much and not enough, not as much as I was earning at like the pub and other side hustles, but it's something that I enjoy doing, and it's something for me, and it's something that I can do around my kids. Like, Joel's got the kids, I'm going to do a food shop and I'm bringing you along, and I can do it at the same time. It's great. So I do make a bit of money from YouTube, and then I make money from the links that you will see down below in this video. So I have a Jam Doughnut link that anyone can get, but if you sign up, you get £8 and then I get £8. And so far I've only had, I think, like 3 or 4 people actually cash out from Jam Doughnut, and that's when I get the payment. I only get the payment once people have actually cashed out their money. But so I think like 60 of you have signed up for it, which I am so grateful for. Thank you so much. But I think only 4 people have actually cashed out their money. But it is just little bits of extra things like that, which it's an extra income for us, so it does really help. And the rest of this year is my goal to try and see if I can make as much money online as possible from things like side hustling. I'm really wanting to get my ebook out. Like, it is so close to being done. Well, the content is done. It's the photos and the videos. I want to make this a sourdough ebook that is like idiot proof, is the way I'm describing it. I want a child to be able to read this ebook and understand how to make sourdough, because people make sourdough far too tricky. But I also am a bit of a perfectionist, so it's kind of ready, but I need to finish the photos and make a load of videos, and I want to make QR codes, and it's a whole thing. But things like this, I'm working on side hustles like that for the rest of the year, finishing off my ebook. I've got another thing in the works, but like, I am not great at technology, so I have to learn it first, and it just takes me so long to learn these things. To then, I have so many ideas, but putting my ideas out physically is a really tricky thing. But there are side hustles that I've actually done that I've not really seen many people talk about. Everyone always talks about surveys. I've never done surveys. And other things that they make money on, I have not tried a lot of them because they just don't appeal to me, and I prefer more physically doing things rather than sitting in front of a screen, strangely enough, even though that's what I do. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too badly shaking and badly filmed. It was just the only time I had because we've been out, and it's been wild. So if you have any other side hustles, please let me know down below, because I'm in the process of trialing out side hustles. You see all of these things on social media about people with like a few thousand subscribers making thousands and thousands of pounds a month, and I'm like, how do they do it? How is that possible? How is that real? I don't understand. So I'm spending this year to try and figure that all out. So let me know down below if there are some things, side hustles that you have tried that work, or that you want me to test out and see if they work. That is my goal. And anything that I do make, like I said, from YouTube, from social media, goes towards paying off the mortgage. And yeah, they are my little side hustles. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let everyone know down below what side hustles you do. I'd love to know. And let me know if this like way of filming is just terrible and you never want to watch it again, because there is no point in me spending the time to film these videos if no one is going to watch them. Anyway, I need to go do a food shop and get back to my family because it is late and I have loads and loads and loads to do since going camping. The house is just a wreck. I will see you in my next video. Bye, friends. I think that person just thought I was waving at them.